Right, Tom. So yeah, thanks, Tom. Today we've just starting a brand new podcast, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to everybody for joining us down at the RGM Experience podcast. It's a new week, a new guest, and we've got a comedian on our hands today, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Tom Binns. Hi, Tom. How you doing, mate?
I was fine, and then when it started, the screen dimmed, and I was trying to sort it out, but all you saw was my giant finger.
Yes.
And then I went to the brightness and contrast.
Yes.
It turned out the sun just came out.
Oh, okay.
So the screen actually didn't dim.
So this is the life of a comedian, living in a van.
This is the life of this comedian. I get funny looks from the other comedians when I climb into a van at the end of a gig.
Well, I only noticed last night after doing a bit more research on you that you're actually from Sheffield yourself, and so am I. What part of Sheffield are you from?
Well, I was born sort of Hillsborough way. Is it Fox Hill? Something Hill? That way, up there. Yeah. I was born in Nether Edge.
Right.
And then we went sort of towards Kilmarsh and Clown, which is sort of over the border slightly, isn't it? Yeah. And then we pulled back a little bit to Chesterfield.
Yeah.
So we're about 7 miles away from Sheffield, but in Derbyshire.
Sure. Oh, nice one. Well,
we got the grandeur in the countryside.
Well, I'm really surprised just how much content is out there with your name all over it. I've been having a good watch over the last few days. Right. Oh, well, you look like you got a worried face. Go on.
What have you watched? You haven't watched Crossroads, have you?
I haven't watched Crossroads. No, were you on Crossroads?
Oh, that's on the YouTube somewhere.
I didn't see that one.
All right, what have you seen?
Well, your character comedy is the main thing that stands out on there. And
as long as you've not seen Crossroads and Spooks,
right?
And a Wheatos commercial where annoyingly they redubbed me with John Thompson, which I was a bit offended by. I did the words; they were fine. Don't mind. Well, I'm over it. It's about 20 years ago.
Let me just make a note to search for those after the interview, mate. Just over 2 seconds. Well, it did.
I listened to John Thompson doing my voice. I was like, how's that different from how I did it? Don't matter. It's fine. Like I say, I'm over it.
We can work through it together, mate. We can talk it through a bit more if you like. If you need a bit more time to sit on it.
Sure. To be honest, I'd forgotten all about it. I'd buried it deep inside, and then you brought it up.
Sorry, mate.
Lemon and lime flavored spring water. It's another brand from Lidl.
Do you need a break just to get over that little memory then, or are you okay?
Well, I'm having something else to work through, innit?
Okay. Well, what I did notice is that just how diverse you are as a performer and a comic, and there's loads of different angles to you, and you don't see much Tom Binns online. No. You don't see most of your characters and that kind of stuff. So
you're saying that diversity like it's a positive thing, and it really has come from not being able to hold a job down for very long and getting incredibly bored very quickly with anything I do and not being able to finish projects off properly. Yeah. So it might look good, but to be honest, it's not. It's not. Okay. I've never been able to hold down a job more than about 4 or 5 months. So
okay, well that must be quite nice in a way, because I've had a day job for a lot of years, and it's kind of the thing. For people like my point of view, when I'm been in a job for a long time, it's kind of aspiring to see that and not be held down by some of the life's woes and that kind of stuff.
I hear you, and it was nice for ages. And now I'm the wrong side of 50 without a pension, and all of a sudden it's become very frightening. I mean, at Halloween, I dress up as a 50-year-old man without a pension and any savings.
Okay,
that's the most frightening thing I could think of.
Oh, bless you. Well, what I'm interested in knowing a little bit, and a lot of people listening to this podcast still don't appreciate how hard it is to get into the comedy industry, and how much hard work and legwork you've got to do to even get your foot in the door type thing. I was on the comedy circuit myself for a year, just scrabbling around for 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, whatever you can get.
Mm.
And coming from Sheffield, there wasn't a lot in Sheffield that supported new acts at all, really. There was Abcom
No.
back in the day on Aberdale Road. It was the dream to get on anywhere near Last Laugh, and but they all had professional acts and that kind of stuff. So there wasn't much in Sheffield for people starting out. How did you get going?
I dealt with that problem by moving to London.
Right, fair enough. So it started.
There weren't any. I think when I started, there was possibly Last Laugh in Sheffield, down just off Aberdale Road.
Yeah.
But actually, when I started comedy, there was I think a club in Bristol. I think a room above a pub in Birmingham occasionally, and one in Newcastle, and that was it.
Wow.
Everything was in London. So, and there was a place called the Comedy Cafe, and they had a system on a Wednesday night, like it was a new act sort of competition. And when I started, the system was if you got there at 2:00 in the afternoon and put your name down, you'd be on the bill that night.
Yeah.
So I did a gig at least every week there, badly. And then I think I did an insane amount of open spots in my first year, but it was back in the days when you could. So, I mean, weirdly, this is how mad I was to get into comedy. For about 2 or 3 years, Glastonbury had an open spot competition for new acts, right?
Yeah.
Where you put your name on the bill. And anyone could go and do it, really. But you got tickets for Glastonbury for the weekend. And I would drive all the way from London to Glastonbury, do my 10 minutes on stage, and then drive all the way back to do a gig that evening in London. Wow. Now, looking back, I'm like, why didn't I spend the weekend?
Yeah, definitely.
But it didn't even occur to me that I didn't want to be at a music festival. I wanted to be a stand-up comedian.
So did you know that from an early age you wanted to do stand-up? Is that the main reason for moving to London, or was that a family thing? Or
no, I moved to London to do stand-up. Yeah. I was in. I moved specifically to be a stand-up, and started also setting up stand-up comedy nights so that I could put myself on the bill. So yeah, definitely what I wanted to do. It was I wasn't really cut out to do anything else, really.
Okay.
So it was more that as much as anything else.
When how many years were you doing things before you started getting paid work? How many years were you in the game before a bit of money started to come in?
Oh, about maybe 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, okay. Quite relatively.
Yeah, I hit upon an idea that comedy promoters really liked. Weirdly, I've not really thought about this until recently, but all my stuff seems to be centered around not a gimmick, but like a concept, like the hospital radio DJ or the actually turns out to be psychic, like really learning cold reading. I started off in stand-up doing all the comedy bird-based comedians of the 1970s.
Right.
I'd go on and but without the birds.
Yeah.
So I'd do I'd just do that and grab. I'd go run around on the stage, going, "Oh look, it's the legs!" Yeah, basically doing Benny Clifton, but without the ostrich.
Right.
Oh!
Right. Okay.
But without the bird.
Yeah.
I'd stop and go. That's Bernie Clifton, 1982. Obviously, without the bird, it loses something. And then I do a couple of crap jokes. And then I go, and I go, Keith Harris.
Yeah.
And I date it. There I go. And then, I'm not laughing at how funny it was. I'm laughing at how shit it was.
Okay.
And then, bearing in mind at the time, mainstream comedy was still mainstream.
Yeah.
And the comedy we were doing, this was 92, 93. So it was like alternative comedy was still called alternative comedy. And then I go, whoa, and then it's start. I go, anybody, and everybody used to shout out emu, and I go, it's not emu, is it? It's Rod Hull.
Okay.
And again, without the bird, it's just a middle-aged man grabbing at young boy. But because it was about comedy promoters liked it.
Yeah.
Audiences hit and miss.
Yeah.
So I got my first paid gig really quickly. There's a guy called John Keys who's still a promoter.
Yeah.
But I couldn't sustain it. I couldn't get that second gig because I'd all the comedy promoters would book me, but I would die on my ass. Right. And I think after 6 months, Stuart Lee asked me to support him on tour, doing my comedy bird-based entertaining acts.
Okay.
I just go on and die on my ass before he came out. And I remember one night at Glasgow, I went out. I died for 20 minutes. Yeah. And then I got an encore. And I had to die again for the 5 minutes. They enjoyed my death so much that Stuart encouraged them.
Where was Stuart in his career at that point?
He was at the very beginning. I think he was. I think he might have got a show on Radio 1 called Fist of Fun, which ended up being on the television.
Yeah.
But I was living in London, weirdly living in a car.
Yes.
Lots changed. I've got a fridge now, and
nice.
Fridge,
anything
toilet. Yeah, I've got. Do you want anything?
Yeah, let's have a look, mate. What we got? We got any snacks?
Got some Coca-Cola.
There we go.
Ham.
And
I've gone for the breaded ham trimmings.
Oh.
I'm not entertaining, am I?
Is it smoked? Can't do with smoke. Can't do with smoked, me.
It's crumbled, cured, and cooked reformed ham with added water. Oh, I wish I'd not read the description now. I've got.
I'm making you question your life choices too much today. I'm conscious of that. There we go.
I've got double cream because I'm on the keto diet at the minute. That's for me coffee.
Right.
Hence the crumbled ham. Then I've got Lurpak, and then just some cans of pop for when I'm driving.
Yes. Well, just for the listeners on the audio version of the podcast, you can watch this on YouTube and just check out all the delights of Tom Binns' van. It looks great. It's home.
It is good, and I've got a stage on the roof.
Have you? Have you really?
So in COVID, we crowdfunded, put a stage on the roof, and we did kind of hybrid sort of driving / garden gigs.
Yeah. Oh, nice one.
And the real secret sauce of the van is a silent PA system. So like a silent disco.
Right. Okay. So you just had to talk.
Well, no, because the silent disco where the music's played directly into people's headphones. My PA plays the sound directly into people's iPhones or Android phones.
Right. Okay. Like a Bluetoothy type.
If you do a gig outside, you need a license for a PA.
Ah.
And at the height of COVID, trying to get a license for a PA at a gig outside was like, no.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, it's a driving gig. There's no reason why we shouldn't be having them. And they were like, no. So I got the idea to do a silent PA, so I didn't need a license. And then people turned up and they just tuned into my van on their phones and they could hear the sound on their phones. That's how we got around the rules.
How did you come up with that idea then?
Pardon?
How did you come up with that? Loophole.
Well, I'm a bit odd, and I live in a van. I eat before.
You've got time on your hands.
I mean, I'm that kind of guy. I'm the guy with a stage on his roof eating reformed ham back of a van. So that's how I came up with it.
Sure. Well, just looking back on comedy and that kind of stuff. What's that?
Ham while we talk.
Eat away, mate. Just crack on. Enjoy it.
Yep.
I don't want to interrupt your fun today.
It's never going to taste the same now I've read the description.
How watery is it?
Like I can taste the water they've added.
Yes.
If you're having to add stuff to meat,
yes,
I don't think you should be eating that meat.
Yeah. Well, we're all here in life learning lessons, aren't we, mate?
Yeah, I've got an avocado holder in the van because there's nothing worse than doing a hard left and your avocado flying off.
Did you know avocados are not vegetarian?
I didn't know that. But let me just show you, because I know you don't believe I've got an avocado holder.
Okay. Did I gloss over that too quick? Ah, nice.
How are they not vegetarian?
Because apparently, and this is what my missus told me, and she's a vegetarian and she stopped eating them because of this, is that there's a little hole in the side of the avocado.
Yeah.
And a wasp goes into it to die as part of the fertilization of the plant thing. So it's got an animal in it.
No way. I didn't know that. I'll tell you what.
It's a little hole bit at the side. I think there should be like a little circly bit.
Really? What that? I don't know where that is. I'm getting a bit sick of the toy. Every one I've ever had is a wooden ball. And I think they need to change that.
Yes, definitely.
I'm getting a bit like something else. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But they're nice. I won't eat the Mexican ones though, because obviously I watched a Netflix documentary about all the people that get kidnapped and killed in Mexico.
Yeah.
It's all controlled by the drugs cartels, isn't it? The avocados now.
Oh, are they? That's what I was going to ask. I didn't quite get the connection there of the Mexican thing with the avocados.
Yeah, they're blood avocados. You don't want to touch them because genuinely,
wow,
they realized there's a lot of money in avocados, so they started rounding up all the farmers, killing them, taking their land, controlling the avocado market. So
wow,
I avoid a Mexican avocado if I can.
Yes. Right. Okay, well that's a good tip for me as well. I'll definitely be doing that. We can't be supporting that kind of nonsense, can we?
If you go to Lidl and it's ready to eat, the bit that missed off is ready to eat in 2016.
Is that what it said?
I've had that about. That's ready to eat avocado. I've had it about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Still not. Trick your teeth on that.
Still not ripening. Still not ripening.
Give me an avocado holder. We'll see where we go with that.
Well, I'm glad people are learning from this podcast today, Tom.
Yeah.
That always makes me happy when we produce things where we're making the world a better place at the end of the day, aren't we?
I'm learning how sad my life is living in a van with an avocado holder. It was normal until you made me explain it.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Now I'm thinking maybe it's not normal to drive around in a van with a stage on the Maybe it's not.
Right. Well, the challenge for me now is to make this interview more positive for you, mate. A more positive experience. I'm very conscious of that now.
Yeah. I mean, we can go on the stage if you like.
We can do.
What's the quickest way up? 1 minute.
All right, mate. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I'll take you up there.
Okay, so Tom's he's just in his van now. You can check all this on the YouTube version of the podcast. He's out of his van. Oh, we can see the stage.
I don't have the railings on it at the minute, so this is going to be a bit. Let me just.
We're actually up on the van now, where he does these gigs.
So now we're on top of the stage.
Wow.
You can see it's good non-slip surface.
It's proper stage stuff, isn't it? It's proper like heavy duty.
Not messing about.
So that's where the cage is around you to stop the
lighting rig. Yeah. Lighting rig here, and then these are where the railings. And I got it done in company in Sheffield made it.
Oh, okay.
And I said, like, strap some planks to a roof rack, and he went, no, because if you fall off, he'll come and sue us. So he's like over engineered like a proper stage.
Yeah.
Bus stop, VW bus stop in Sheffield.
Yeah.
I can't tell you exactly where, but you know the cinema where I saw a double bill of Pink Panther for my
which one? Odeon.
Well, it was for Paul Renstroff's 10th birthday party. It's the one on the left, heading towards halfway from Manor Top. It's not there anymore.
Oh,
anyway.
Okay, yeah.
You know the one? If you do a left just before that.
Is it a bowling alley now?
It might well be.
Yeah.
If you do a left just before that, and then some lefts and some rights, you find
you find
bus
it.
stop. Yeah, they're really good.
Okay, fair enough.
They're really after me. So remember the proper name of the company and exactly where they were to give them a decent plug. But
yeah,
that's me.
it's near
That's
enough,
all
mate.
over.
It's near enough.
Yeah.
So shall we carry on the interview while you're on your
we're not doing
on stage?
Oh, this was the interview. Do you know?
Yeah.
I don't even know where.
Yeah, where are you?
I think I'm near Cambridge.
Right. Okay. Well, it's a lovely day down there.
Yeah, it is nice here. Do you want me to get back in the van?
No, you can. I'm happy wherever you are, mate. If you're happy, I'm happy.
I'm just worried I might forget and start walking around and fall off.
Oh, okay. Fair. Yeah, be safe. Make sure you're safe.
Yeah. Because otherwise, they'll be upset at VW bus stop.
Yes.
Bus stop.
Sure. They don't.
We called it bus stop arena. I can't really get down and hold the phone. Let's just finish the interview up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a sit down. Make sure you're safe.
I mean, I'm going to flip that around. Is that all right?
There we go. Perfect.
Nasty shots, me, in the trees.
Nice. On safari.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it in the comedy world at the minute? How do you feel about the cancel culture that seems to be hanging around comedy at the minute? A comedian just after the England football final recently put out some very unsavoury tweets to some of the players that missed penalties, and the whole comedy community, absolutely highlighted this and made sure that they were all cancelled. And this guy had just dropped a right bollock, basically. And I was speaking to Joe Zalias from the new comedy club in Sheffield, Roll on the Floor comedy. I keep getting the initials mixed up, and he doesn't mind the culture because he's confident in his own self that whatever he's saying, if people can always take people out of context with comedy, if it's just a snapshot of stuff, he's not too worried about it. So I just wanted to ask another comedian what your thoughts on it were, really, in a bad way.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
You on the one hand, you can take comments out of context. On the other hand, there are certain people on the right that are saying genuinely racist things, wrapped up as comedy, and claiming joke.
Yeah.
And it's all about intention, and you've got to put those jokes into the context of who that person is and what their beliefs are. So it's really difficult and nuanced in terms of everyone's. You can't say what you want anymore. And I think Ricky Gervais has a really good quote, which you might have seen as a meme popping up every now and again. You can say exactly what you want. And you always have been able to say exactly what you want. People might not like it, and they then can tell you whether you like it or not, or whether they like it or not. And then you decide whether to give a shit about what they think.
Yeah.
So there's that, which is a separate argument for what I'm just saying. So there's that other comedian, alleged comedian anyway. I'm not talking about Andrew Lawrence, somebody else who was saying racist things and then sort of pretending they were jokes. I mean, let me just talk about it from my own personal perspective.
Sure.
There's certain things, certain jokes that I will do at the Edinburgh Fringe, especially when I'm a comedian that's ignorant. I'm playing a character rather that's ignorant and ignorant things. When I say them to a Fringe audience who knows who I am and what I stand for, and that I'm playing a character that's ignorant, and I think and the joke is what I'm saying is ignorant. I get the right kind of laugh for that material. And then I saw with the same joke, and I did it I won't say exactly where, but somewhere in the Northwest. And there was a different quality to the laughter. They were still laughing, but I felt they believed in what I was saying. Do you see what I mean? They were how stupid the thing was I was saying, or how ignorant it was. They were laughing for the wrong reasons. They were laughing at the fact that it was they kind of believed it themselves. And from that moment on, I stopped doing that joke because it's been taken the wrong way. So that's an how context is important.
Yeah.
But there's two that I think there are disingenuous people that are using context to smuggle in or do dog whistle racism.
Yeah.
And so it's a complicated situation. I'll give you a good example. I've got a good example of what I'm just talking about, but it involves Scottish people. So I'm not going to get into hot water into of coming across as a racist. So when I was in Brackenbury, in Edinburgh, in the Edinburgh bubble, I used to do a joke about David Tennant, which would work perfectly well for the guy who's in line of duty now. But it's like, I think Ivan said, it's weird, isn't it? Because when he's Doctor Who, he has an English accent. But when he's being interviewed, he's got a Scottish accent. And that's it, because if you can talk nicely, you would all the time. Now the joke, Ivan's an idiot. And that's expensive and wrong. And an Edinburgh Fringe audience, a festival audience, made up of predominantly Scots, because I was on, at the time of day I was on and everything.
Yeah.
They enjoyed it and they really liked it. And they understood me and who I was and that I was playing a character. And the joke was, what I'm saying is wrong.
Yeah.
But every Edinburgh, the Stand Comedy Club, do a thing where they zoom you over to Glasgow for one night and you do their comedy club over there.
Yeah.
Like an idiot. I still thought I was in the Fringe bubble and did the same joke in Glasgow in front of that hadn't paid specifically to see me, didn't know who I was, didn't know what I stood for. Now, I knew I was in trouble when they didn't even work out it was a joke.
Right.
So thank God I've got away with it. And I just kind of powered on before they had taken a joke that was inappropriate. And then 3 English guys at the bar who heard and understood the joke just went, woo! They then signaled to the whole room that there was a joke there they've missed. And then they had to think about it. And then they realized what the joke was. And then I got booed by the whole room. And I was in a van at the time because, you know, I love vans. And it had a show all over it. And when I went back to that van, it also was covered in pizza and kebabs.
Oh no.
Good example, isn't it, of how context is so important and how understanding your audience. So there's jokes I didn't do in a small little industrial town that's got a reputation for not being exactly politically that I would happily do in Edinburgh.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for that insight. I found that really interesting. And you know, you mentioned the characters that you mentioned the characters that you do. Ivan Brackenbury, the radio DJ, Ian D. Mountford, your psychic reading, and when I was watching quite a lot of it on YouTube over the last few days, you mentioned it at the beginning of the interview that you do get a lot of things right, don't you? When you're playing this character as like a really, you know. You get a lot of things right as this psychic. Do you feel like you are a bit psychic?
I did study cold reading and how it all works. And actually, coming back after 18 months, I really panicked. It's the first few gigs. I wasn't getting anything right anymore.
Right.
The last couple, it's kind of whatever it is clicks back in. So last night was great. I got tons right. And the night before was good. But I don't think I'm psychic. No, the script, the comedy script is designed to right. There's a little bit of intuition going on.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's psychic. No, so I'll, you know, like there's no structure to the show. So I've got like 100 jokes I could throw at you. And I'd throw certain jokes at you, hoping that some of them would, because the setup is always like, I'm getting the impression you got a black car. Or you're adopted, and then there's always a joke if I get it wrong. Yeah. So the way it's set up is people don't notice when I get things wrong because it's a joke, and when I get things right, they're impressed. And I have a little bit of control over what jokes I deliver to what people in the room, and that improves the odds of getting some stuff right. But I thought I had lost my magical powers coming back after COVID, but luckily it's kicked back in. Whatever it is, it's kicked back in. Every
time I saw you do the dice thing and the cup over the top, you got it right every time. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and I do that now out the dice. How do it now? Because I can't hand out dice and take them back.
Oh, sure, yeah, okay.
I get them to use 3 imaginary dice and just tell me 3 numbers, and I normally get that right as well. So I'll write down and then say it's a really cheap joke, but they start shaking the dice, and I say blowing it for luck. So they're like,
yes.
It's such a cheap joke that I pretend it's not intentional, and when people laugh, I actually chastise the audience.
Yeah.
For inappropriate, and I'm that, but clearly, and I'm getting those right invariably as well, just like I did with real dice.
Well, you've got these characters, you're out there, you're established, and these characters really feel established. And another really established character that's out there in the world is Alan Partridge. And I noticed that you were actually in the Knowing Me, Knowing You episode.
Yeah, I did all the warm-ups as well for I'm Alan Partridge as well.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
What was it like just being around? You know that.
Right.
Oh, sorry, mate.
Yeah, it looks all right. It doesn't look homoerotic in any way.
Are you laid on the roof now?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
You happy
I'm
with
perfectly happy with that, mate. Yeah, I'm happy if you are, always.
Well, it's more comfortable, yeah. I feel less exposed in the car parks looking at me going, he's full of himself, isn't he? They don't know you're asking me questions, you see. It just looks like a man on the roof.
Yeah, just filming yourself.
Great, he thinks he is.
You look like one of them Instagram beauties, you know, like one of them. You could be like one of them.
I know. Do you know what? No filter.
Hashtag.
Yeah. I was in that. Yeah, I was in Alan Partridge, and I did all the warm ups.
So was it part of it, like warming up the crowd? Is that how you got your part as Glenn Ponder's boyfriend? Or
no, I didn't. I was in that first actually. I got the part first.
Right, okay.
The warm-ups I did were the one that you probably don't even know there was a live studio audience for, because it had sets on all 4 sides. It was the one that's set in the hotel.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I've watched them many times. Linton Travel Tavern.
Yeah, well, they were closed sets. So in other words, the audience came in and they were presented with 4 boxes. And they couldn't see any of the action. They could watch it all on TV, but Steve wanted to play off a real audience. Reacting in real time to the comedy. So he'd say hello at the start of the night and then get in the box, and that would be the end of it. And I'd have to sort of, part of my job, my brief was not only to entertain them in between the takes, which is what you normally do as a warm-up man, but also a man said, you've got to keep reminding them that it's genuinely happening in these boxes, otherwise they'll think they're just watching it on telly.
Yeah.
Which they were, but it was also happening just the other side of that wood.
Sure.
That they
So it's just to picture it. So there's 4 different boxes with 4 different scenes, all in a long row. So some of the audience could see some of it, some couldn't see any of it, depending on what scene they were filming at the time. Is that how it is?
All the audience could see nothing at all times.
Right.
Unusual for a sitcom, because normally most of the audience can see most of the sets at most of the time.
Okay.
So different about it. They wanted to film it like it was a film. In other words, with a set on every, like closed sets, I think it's called. Maybe that's when you're in the Nudie Rudies and you don't want everyone to come and have a look. But anyway, the sets were, had 4 walls and a ceiling.
Yeah. So
as far as the audience were concerned, there was just 4 giant packing crates in front of them that they couldn't have a look inside ever.
Is that unique to Steve Coogan and Armando Iannucci then? Is that something that they only do?
As far as I'm aware, it was unique to that series or that. I don't think I've not done a show like that before or since.
Yeah,
you're either on location or you're in a studio.
Yeah. What was it like being around Steve? Was he always in Alan Partridge mode, or was he not?
Here's the thing, right? He is always in character.
Yeah.
Means that. And Alan Partridge liked me as a warm-up man and liked warm-up men in general.
Right.
And that was useful, because when you're the warm-up man and no one really knows who you are and they've come to see someone else, any win like that's really, really useful. However, Tony Farino and I did the warm up for that as well, couldn't stand me.
Okay.
Or really understand warm up men or what the warm up men were, and so he was really shitty to me in the audience. And there's just, even though the audience know, they don't know, and on some level they just got the message that I was to be hated. So that was a really tough night.
Wow. Okay. So where was the Tony Farino part then? Was that a different filming or something?
You remember? He did. I think well, it was Mick Hucknall was in it. I remember. It was was it a Christmas special or a one-off? I can't remember, but it was.
Oh, right. Going back to Knowing Me, Knowing You'll. So yeah, Mick Hucknall at the end, and was Bond supposed to turn up and he was late?
Oh no, it was another series or the beginning of a pilot series that never happened or did happen. It's a long time ago, and I was only
fair enough. But it must have been a great, you mentioned Stuart Lee earlier. You've worked on Lee and Herring, IT Crowd, The Big Breakfast, 8 out of 10 Cats, Do Countdown, all these big standout shows. What memories have you got from those days that you could share with us today? Any interesting things that might have gone on?
Just not being able to hold down a single job. No.
Back to circling back.
No, I can't remember any. A lot of them were just, acting gigs. And you turn up and you get some nice food and then remember your life the right way and then go home. I can't any interesting.
Well, the 8 out of 10 cat things, I can remember hearing, what's he called now? I listened to his podcast. It's gone out of my head, but he did the spot within 8 out of 10 cats and he felt really intimidated by it. How did you find the experience on the show, just being around all those other comedians and things?
Free for the van, so I'm getting low battery.
Yeah, sure.
Really lovely, just really nice, and also filmed almost in real time, which is unusual for a show like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like now, but I went to see an episode of I Got News for You, and they pretty much started at 7:30 and finished about 10 o'clock to do 30 minutes, whereas 8 out of 10 Cats just rattled through to almost as if really down. It's almost as if it was live. Almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, time on it. And I got really lucky with that first episode I did. So Ivan and Catherine Ryan had some really lovely good chemistry, which was really great. And then I've done another one that's not surfaced, which is a bit weird. So a lost episode. But the hearing me is going, it'd be my bit that they, as if they're going to ditch it. The dictionary corner didn't work quite well, but I was saying, why has that never ended up on telly? Maybe it has. Maybe they did edit my bit out. I don't know.
Okay. It was Adam Buxton. It's come to me. Adam Buxton was the one that he was telling a story about it, and he found it quite difficult to get in the zone for it.
Really? Well, no, I didn't have a problem with it. I'm just going to jump off the roof.
Cool, mate.
I mean, I did it safely. I didn't have a problem with it. Nice. A funny story on Fist of Fun. It's the only one I can remember.
Yeah.
But the costume lady, there's a couple of like extras. All the extras are hanging around.
Yeah.
Costume lady went up to a couple of extras. A couple of coppers stood there, and she come here, and she got the tie. Went, the tie's not up properly, and she got a lint brush out, and then a real policeman. Not by to what? In the sketch, but yeah. Anyway,
there we go. Back in the full circle, back in the van. So you're on tour at the minute, then, mate?
Am I?
I don't know. I was just going to, I presume so. You're in a van. You've had a gig last 2 nights, and
so I'm somewhere near Cambridge.
Yeah.
Right now, and I'm back up to Sheffield now.
Right.
And then I'll go somewhere else after that and do some more comedy. I never know where I am until I look at my diary.
Yeah. Okay. So how are you finding gigs today compared to when you first started? Is the crowd more? I don't know. I'd like to think the crowd are more intelligent, but you tell me.
What, the one that first started?
Yeah.
I can't judge because I'm just like significantly better than when I first started, and not because I'm particularly good now, just because I was terrible when I first started. I mean, I was doing that comedy burst comedy entertainers routine.
Yeah,
consistently died on its arsehole. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. I think there's been a fusion, isn't there, of mainstream and alternative now. So because of that, there's a lot more. I mean, the kind of people that come to comedy now and see me are not the kind of people that used to come to comedy like in 92, 93, or like, you know, when it was like the alternative comedians with Alexis Sale and French and Saunders at the Comedy Store and that kind of thing. It's pretty much everybody now comes to comedy, isn't it? Whereas back then it would have been hardcore comedy fans or students or that kind of audience. So it's becomes kind of mainstream like that.
So a wide range of people turning up. Does that make it easier or harder to guess the room?
No, it's fine. Well, it's again, it's hard to say because my skill set has improved dramatically.
Yeah.
If talking to Tom Binns in 1993, it would have made it utterly impossible for me to entertain them. I wouldn't have been able to do it because I was like all about irony and being clever and doing jokes about jokes, and it just wouldn't have worked. But I'm a different act now. I'm like, I can actually entertain an audience without tricks. Are you still there? That was me.
I'm here, mate.
Where I am.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate your time, Tom. I'm going to put the link to your website on this podcast. So if you've enjoyed the interview today, you know, have a look at what Tom's up to, catch him on tour.
I don't know. Is that it? Is that going to run it as a full? I'm not mind. Just curious.
Yeah. What's what? Sorry.
Are you going to put it out as is, or do you edit it down to?
I'll edit the video with the podcast, but the audio will all be. This will all be the audio.
Oh right, yeah. Oh,
I'll add an introduction and an end to it and things. No, it's fine, mate. Yeah, it's all good. You're the only person to have got on top of a van in all these years I've been doing these interviews.
Yeah, and there'll be a good reason for that.
Sure. So I'll put the website on the link. So, you know, if you've enjoyed this interview today, I've really enjoyed it, Tom. Thanks for your time. Jump on his website, enjoy Tom's work, catch him on tour, and good luck with everything. And I hope to put a pint in front of you one day, mate, and in real life.
Well, that'd be lovely. Thanks for having me. I always find these things very awkward, especially coming from Sheffield, because, you know, having to talk about yourself. Yeah, I don't want people to think I'm it. He thinks he's it, him.
I'm from Sheffield, and I've never had that problem. I'll be honest.
You know what I mean, though? What was he thinking?
Yeah, I do.
He thinks he's it.
I've got better at being humble these days because there's no point shouting about yourself because nobody gives a shit.
No. Oh my.
Cheers, Tom. Right. Really appreciate your time, mate.